Welcome, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is Sal Leto, your host. We're getting ready for our compound psychology class. We're looking forward to the psychology component to our system. We're just going to set our call up and we'll be getting started momentarily. Thank you.
Thank you, Sal.
All right, folks, we'll be getting started in about just one more minute. All right, Dr. Lewis, I have assigned you as co-host. So before we get into the introduction here, can you just give me a sound check?
Yes, Sal. Can you hear me okay?
Perfect. Yes, thank you. We're getting started, folks, in about one more minute. All right, let's go ahead and get our call kicked off here. So welcome to all of you that are able to join us at today's special time. If you guys were on last week's compound psychology class with Dr. Lewis, you guys know we did it in the evening time in the United States. That's gonna be more of a common time that we do other calls outside of our 8-minute trader morning calls. But the reason today is a little bit earlier in the day is because Dr. Luis Arriaza, he is in Europe. And I do want to take a moment to just acknowledge what he's doing and Dr. Lewis to say thank you, because he's actually on a 25-year anniversary trip with his wife and his 3 sons. They're going to Italy to rededicate their vows. And this is an event that they've been planning for months on end, and they've put a lot of time and energy into this trip. And the fact that Dr. Lewis was still willing to jump on here and to make sure that he covers the critical psychology components for this community, that blew me away. I actually gave him an out. He'll tell you I gave him an out. I said, hey, if you're in Europe and you have too much going on with your rededication and your wedding ceremony, it's no problem. We could resume these calls when you guys get back. And he said, right now we're at a critical stage in this launch. and we need to keep the momentum going, and we need to make sure people are coming in with the right mindset. And that just blew me away. And if you guys have been following Dr. Lewis at all or not, go look at his social media, go look at his Facebook, at his Instagram, at all the stories, all the videos that he's uploaded over the last couple of years. Just so you guys know the dynamic of our relationship and how this began. I met Dr. Lewis almost 9 years ago, about eight years ago, 8.5 years ago or so, out in California through a mutual business friend. And then we got together a couple times, and he got to meet my wife, Vanessa, and I got to meet his wife, Avelia, and was just blown away at who they are as a family, because it's rare to meet a thriving, happy, successful marriage that's not fake. Like the people you see on camera are the people that you see off camera in their home life. And when we visited their home and saw what they were doing with real estate, what they were doing with their children's futures, on teaching their boys how to invest and how to establish themselves early on. He got into coaching different youth programs and sports, and having youth football teams over his house constantly to pour into them and to mentor them. And then to see how successful he's been with him and his wife building in Youngevity. They have an organization of over 600,000 customers in 8 years. And some of you know, they've earned over $20 million in commission. So they're just a very well-rounded role model for my wife and I. And after we met about 8 years ago, Vanessa was really excited about Dr. Lewis and Avelia's leadership classes. Both he and his wife were doing their own separate classes, and she would get on every single call and then share all the information with me on what was being taught and the principles being shared. And it started to really catch my attention over time. Like, wow, this is something special to be a part of this leadership culture and this environment of excellence, and learning how to think like a psychology master. And of course, I've been in trading this whole time, and I've always seen a strong correlation between the principles that Dr. Lewis teaches on. You know, he teaches his organization of 600,000 customers, his leadership principles. That's why they've grown. That's why they've thrived so successfully. I've always seen a key correlation with trading, because trading is so mental and trading is so emotional. Learning how to manage your emotions when it matters most, right? When you're in the last second of the fourth quarter on that trade, knowing when to stay in, knowing when to close, knowing how to rebound when you take a loss on your account. Those are quick decisions that make all the difference in the end result of your trades. And we never knew that we were going to be partnered up on an actual trading platform. And really thanks to my wife, Vanessa, keeping this relationship super strong for all of us, who led to conversations of, here we are with Youngevity now, working with Dr. Lewis. And this was the part that I was looking forward to the most, because I've met a lot of people in the space that they'll make a lot of money, but then they don't grow personally in the way they think, and you know, the way their brain fires. And so when they stop making really good money, if that income opportunity slows down, it's like their whole life falls apart because they never grew personally. And if someone can grow at the same speed as their trading account, then you'll be able to sustain that trading account, right? So the point is if you have $1 million, you're not a millionaire. And I know it's like, well, of course you're a millionaire. You have $1 million. No, I'm sorry, you're not a millionaire just because you have $1 million. There's people who make millions of dollars and then a couple years later they're broke because they were never really a millionaire. To be a millionaire, you have to know how to think with $1 million decisions, and you have to act and behave as a person who knows how to create and sustain and grow millions of dollars. And that's why you'll see people's incomes go up, and then all of a sudden it comes way back down because they never caught up to that with personal growth, right? And so having Dr. Lewis take time to share with us these psychological principles on how to react as a trader and think like a millionaire, with him leading by example. Obviously, he's a multimillionaire himself. He's super successful in multiple industries. There's so much value because some of you are already starting to grow your broker account really fast and achieve these phenomenal results. Don't neglect the psychological growth that you need. If you're growing with trading, you need to grow psychologically. If you have an amazing week with trading, then you need to have an amazing week psychologically, or you're never really going to get ahead. You're just going to be going in circles, and you'll do what we call the boom and bust cycle. Boom and bust, big results, crash, big results, crash, right? So without any further ado, I'm very excited to open up our second compound psychology class with none other than our ambassador, my direct sponsor, a man that I've considered a mentor to myself and to my family. He's building a real legacy. Dr. Luis Arriaza, take it away, sir. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Sal. And I can really recite everything that you said and send it back towards you and Vanessa, because both of you have been a tremendous blessing in our lives. Sometimes people just don't know the impact that they have on people's lives. My mentor shared this with me a long time ago. And it's your first mental tattoo. He said, "You never know how far reaching what you may say, think, or do today will affect the lives of millions tomorrow. It is better to light one candle than to curse the darkness. Get the big idea and all else will follow." So many times we go through life and we just really don't know the impact that we're having on people's lives. We don't know how deep and how profound we're changing their genetic structure. We don't know how we're changing their thought process. Studies indicate that you are the people that you surround yourself with, and that's absolutely true. But today, in today's time, you can surround yourself with extraordinary people without actually being there. So for my wife and my boys and I, Sal, we are incredibly blessed to be part of your family and have you be part of our family. And you're right, you did give me an out. You gave me a very polite and a very respectful out. But one thing about my wife and I is when we say we're in, we're all in. When the promise is clear, the price is easy. I'm gonna repeat this again. Here's your second mental tattoo. When I tell you that it's a mental tattoo, that's something that you should write, something that you should post, something you should put on your stories, because it's gonna impact people's lives. When the promise is clear, the price is easy. It's not the price that's a challenge. It's the clarity of the promise. It's the clarity of really what you want. It's the clarity of where you are going. It's a clarity of how to get there. We're referencing trading. Trading is not that difficult if you are going to be a great student. You can ask how. That's why this is called compound psychology, mastering the psychology of trading. And I want to really just thank Maurice, thank Sal, thank Ryan and Vanessa and Jolene and their entire team, because what they are doing, they have taken something that could, for most people, be so incredibly difficult. They have taken something that for most people seems so far away from their personal reality, and they've created the ABCs and the 1, 2, 3s of trading. And this is going to change your life. How do I know this is going to change your life? Because we are at the precipice. We're at the beginning of this. As the 5 stages of technological adoption talks about, right? You all are what we call the innovators. 700-800 people. We almost hit 700 people. That is awesome. Oh, yeah, before I get into this, let me share with you where we are. I know it's a little blurry. My wife and my boys and I, we just arrived in Sorrento, Italy. We were 4 days in Paris, France, and it was gorgeous. We went to the Palace of Versailles. We had lunch at the Four Seasons, the St. George Four Seasons. We went and we visited the Mona Lisa. I mean, we took of course, like anyone that goes to Europe for the first time, right? Took the tour of the Eiffel Tower, took the riverboat tour. It was just amazing. And this morning we left Paris and we arrived in Sorrento, Italy. Just the drive here, it is so exquisite. It is so beautiful, and it is so inspiring. Everything of beauty has a story. Everything of beauty has a price. As we're standing at the bottom of the Eiffel Tower, right, the longest constructed building in the entire world, as we're standing there and they're talking about Gustav Eiffel, right, they're talking about how when it was only 20% built, the government said, you know what, we really don't want this piece of metal in the middle of our city. We don't see the greatness in it. But he had the vision. When the promise is clear, the price is easy. Gustav Eiffel said, no, no. So what he did, instead of buckling down, instead of saying, you know what, I'm not going to finish this, instead of saying, you know what, government, you're absolutely correct, he said, okay, you don't have to fund it. You don't have to give me one more cent. In fact, you don't have to do anything, with the understanding that for the next 20 years, if I'm able to finish this within the next 20 years, every single cent that comes from people coming to see the Eiffel Tower will be mine and only mine. See, the government said yes because they never thought that that was possible. They never thought that he was going to be able to finish this. What they didn't know is that Gustav was incredibly resourceful. What they didn't know is that he was the Walt Disney of that time, right? He was the Ray Kroc of that time. He was the Elon Musk of that time. So what he did was, through his resourcefulness, he was able to gather the money and finish the Eiffel Tower. And for the next 20 years, every single penny, every single cent, every single dime, every single dollar that came in came straight to him. He became wealthier than his wildest imagination. Why? Because as I told you guys before, what he did was he bet on himself. He knew it was not going to be easy, but he knew it was possible. And so that's why I applaud these 700 people that are getting on, because as in the 5 stages of technological adoption, we are called the innovators. We're called the trailblazers. We're called the pathfinders. We're the crazy people out there teaching and preaching a message that most people have never heard about. We're the ones yelling from the mountaintop. We're the ones climbing the poles, telling people, hey, there's something better out there. And what's better? It's called the 8-minute trader. What better is this? It's this system that we have. It's something that's been created, and it's for everyone. And you don't have to pay $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 to get it. You can get it for only $5.99. It's something spectacular. See, because after that 2% of the early adopters, what comes next is the early majority. Now, the early majority, they're going to see it and they're going to jump on, but they're not going to have the same benefit as the innovators, but they're going to have a tremendous benefit, right? Then the early majority, after the early adopters, then the early majority, then the late majority, then the laggards. And those are the 5 stages. And that's just how technology is. It goes from the innovators to the early adopters, to the early majority, to the late majority, and finally the laggards. Now, we've been laggards in different areas of our life, and we've had the possibility of being early adopters in different areas of our life. Right now, we don't even have the opportunity to be an early adopter. We have the opportunity to be an innovator. We have that opportunity right now to be Gustav Eiffel. We have the opportunity to really, really change the way people live and the way people have their lifestyle. See, it's not just about making money. I know we get on that call every single morning, and again, Coach Maurice does such a spectacular job at coaching us through it, because it's very, very, it is an art, as I talked about last week, the philosophy, the science, and the art. It is an art to do that. Sal does it equally as well. It is an art to be able to trade and to speak simultaneously, right? But see, it is greater than just making money. It is changing people's thought process. It is really allowing people to grow into the person that they've always wanted to be. But in order to do that, we have to be able to analyze, identify, and control this word, this thing, this feeling that we get, and that's called emotions, right? Last week I gave you 2 mental tattoos. Emotion is the conflict of all truth, mental tattoo. And the second one was, what does that create? It creates drama. And drama is drama is emotional conflict to spiritual understandings. So as I said last week, you and I, we were created to be prosperous. We were not created to be broke. We were not created to be poor. I want you to listen to me, because I'm going to repeat that again. We were created to prosper. I am not an expert at the Bible. By far am I an expert, but I love to read it. I love to memorize certain verses. And I've never memorized a verse that says, thou art be poor for the rest of your life. I've never memorized that verse. I have seen verses that talk about prosperity. I have seen verses that talk about abundance. I have seen verses that talk about wealth. So why are so many people in the state of poverty, in the state of financial transition? Why is it so difficult for so many people not to become master traders? I would love to say that all of you are going to explode on this platform, but probably that's not true. Now, you can change it right now if you really have a deeper understanding of what emotion is. See, the reason why most people don't accomplish what they want, the reason why most people don't become master traders, the reason why people don't increase their account is because they don't learn. And a man who doesn't learn will be in a state of suffering. You remove yourself from the state of suffering when you graduate, when you learn. Here's your mental tattoo. When you learn your lesson, you will move yourself out of suffering. So if you find people suffering, and when I say people, I'm talking about your brothers, your sisters, your aunts, your uncles, your partner. If they're in a state of suffering, and it doesn't have to be just financial suffering, it can be suffering from a relationship. It can be suffering from depression. It can be suffering from losing weight. Whatever it is, it's only because they haven't learned what they need to learn in that cycle of life to pull themselves out of that. And as long as we keep repeating it over and over and over, it's like a 5-year-old that goes to kindergarten. And at 6, he goes to kindergarten again. And at 7, he goes to kindergarten again. And at 8, he goes to kindergarten again. And at 9, well, you know what's eventually going to happen is he's going to disconnect himself with that emotional state. And his life will not become what it's supposed to be. So for a long time ago, I made a decision to really delve into this state, what is this emotion about? How can we compartmentalize these emotions? Because you and I, we're always going to be emotional, right? That's just part of our being. But how can we compartmentalize this emotion so you can be a master trader, so you can be successful, so you can attain the financial levels that you want? It is possible. Write that down for yourself. That financial prosperity is possible for you as long as you master your emotions. Now, I'm not telling you that you're always going to win, because you're not. But if you can win 7 or 8 out of 10 days, then you will become a master trader. The question is, what happens on that 1 or 2 or 3 days that you lose? Do you live in that chapter of loss? Do you live in that chapter of fear? Do you live in that chapter of regret? Are you continuously beating yourself up? So let me share a few stories on why I firmly believe that you and I can master our emotions. The first story comes from this gentleman, this author that I love, that I read this book many, many, many years ago, and I encourage you to get it. It's called Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. Now, Viktor Frankl was a prisoner of war, and he was stationed, they put him in that Auschwitz camp, right? Now, Viktor Frankl knew that he was going to die. He saw his family murdered right in front of his eyes. Talk about emotional instability. He saw his wife murdered. He saw his kids murdered, and they put him in that camp. And every single morning, they would take these soldiers, these prisoners of war, down this corridor. Some people would be pushed out into the field, out into the snow to work. Others were pushed to the other door, and beyond that, there was an incinerator, and they were burned to death. And once they were burned, they were put on this heaping pile of burnt bodies, left there for 3 days. Then they were tossed over this electric gate until the bodies were just dissolved. So what Viktor Frankl did, he knew that sooner or later, because they would do this randomly every day they would walk people down. Some people would be pushed out to work in the snow, even if they weren't fully clothed. They were working in the snow, but they would rather work in the snow than be burned alive. So Viktor Frankl had to control his emotions. For food, what they would do is they would mop, and they would take the dirty water that they mopped with. They would put a fish head, they would boil it, and they would give it to him. He had to train his mind and believe that this was the most luxurious soup he had ever had in his life. He trained his mind. He was able to lower his emotions and live by truth. So one day he knew that there was this guard. This guard was a little older. This guard loved to take naps. So in one of the moments where he took a 2 or 3 minute nap, Viktor Frankl ran, took all his clothes off, ran nude in the snow, and jumped into the pile of dead, burned cadavers. And he lay there for 3 days amongst that smell and just the idea of laying next to these dead people. 3 days later, they picked him up and they threw him over. He was able to run for freedom. He's the founder, and the creator of what's called logotherapy. It's a therapy on how to control your mind. It's a therapy on how to control your emotion. If Viktor Frankl was able to control his emotion in such a high level, such an emotional high level, you and I can learn how to control our emotions during trading. It isn't that difficult. Yes, it takes certain tasks that we do, right? It takes certain habits that we have to create. It takes certain rituals that we have to introduce into our life. But it is possible. Just like being prosperous is possible. Just like changing is possible. Doesn't matter if you're 20 or you're 80, becoming a master trader is possible. That's the journey that all of us, the innovators, are on. Let me give you another example of a man that was able to control his emotion. One of my mentors, Mr. Nelson Mandela. Mr. Nelson Mandela was incarcerated for 27 years for a crime he never committed. And in this incarceration, in this island called Robben Island, right, he was incarcerated. To try to break his will, they would make him sleep on concrete. I know myself, so we were in Paris, and the bed was a little firm. My bed at home is unbelievable. It's like sleeping on feathers, right? This bed was a little firm. By the third night, my neck was hurting a little bit, my back's hurting a little bit. Imagine sleeping on concrete for 18 years. Not 18 days, not 18 weeks, but 18 years. Then they would take him out to the field, and he would break limestone, stone after stone after stone. They'd have him break limestone into little pebbles, not for 8 hours, not for 10 hours, not for 12 hours, not for 14 hours, 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. And then they would make them take this rubble and just throw it away. They didn't even use the stones that he was breaking. They'd let all the prisoners bathe first, and then the older statesman would bathe by himself, as all the guards would stand on top of the showers and just laugh at him. One day, they asked him to come out to the field, and they made him dig a ditch 6 feet deep, about 7-8 feet wide, about 7-8 feet long, 4 feet deep, 4 feet wide. He thought that for sure that was the day that he was going to die. He thought that they were going to bury him alive, but instead, all the guards began to urinate on him. Well, finally, justice was served, and he finally got out. And the day that he was recognized, the inauguration of his presidency, he invited the guard that stood at the door of his cell. He invited the guard that mentally and emotionally attempted to abuse him for 27 years. And all his friends and his family said, but why would you do that? Why would you invite this evil man to this party? He said, because as long as I didn't do that, I would still be a prisoner to him. See, that emotion, our emotions, your emotions, my emotions, it keeps us in a state that doesn't allow us to do our best and be our best. And in order to be a master trader, we have to learn how to control our emotions. So let me give you 3 tips on how to control your emotions. They're very, very simple tips, but I encourage you, I've been doing this for 27 years. I encourage you that if you really want to grow your account, and you will, remember, you're the innovator class. If you want to grow your account, if you want to become prosperous, I'm not saying that you're going to be a millionaire. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that you're going to prosper enough so you can have a fulfilling life. Whatever enough means. I don't impose my goals upon you. I don't impose my dreams upon you. My dreams are my dreams. Your dreams are your dreams, right? So I want you to fulfill your dreams. I want you to attain your goals. I'm going to attain my goals. God has given me my goals for me, right? God has given you your goals for you. Your goals aren't my goals, and my goals aren't your goals. So when you're out there talking about your dreams and people aren't cooperating and people aren't supporting you, not everyone is supposed to support you, because not everyone has your vision. Not everyone has your passion. Not everyone has your desire. It takes time. It takes time to develop this dream. It takes time to develop this passion, like Sal said, and he said it so perfectly well. Just because people make $1 million 1 or 2 years, it doesn't make them a millionaire. They may make $1 million, but it's a millionaire's mentality. It's a millionaire's lifestyle. It's a millionaire's vocabulary. It's a millionaire's state of mind. It's a millionaire's behavior. That's when you know that you and wealth are brothers and sisters. So I want to give you these 3 tips that if you do these 3 things every day, not whenever you feel like it, not once in a great while. They're interviewing Earl Nightingale. They're interviewing Earl Nightingale. He is the father of motivation back in the day, 1952. And they said, how do you, I mean, Earl Nightingale written probably about 45, maybe 50 books. They said, how have you written so many books? And Earl Nightingale said, because every day I write for 1.5 hours. I don't write when I feel like it. I don't write when I'm inspired. I don't write after I saw a great movie. I don't write after a great workout. I don't write after a great night's sleep. He said, I write every single day. So you want to become a master trader, trade every single day. Don't trade just when you feel good. Don't trade just when the market's hot. Trade every single day, and you too will become that master trader. So here are the 3 tips. Tip number 1 is the power of visualization. I'll repeat this again. Tip number 1, to become a master trader, to control your emotions, is the power of visualization. Stanford did this study, and they took 3 groups. The first group, they said, you're going to shoot free throws for 1 hour. That's it. You're going to shoot free throws for 1 hour for 30 days. The second group, they said, you're going to not shoot free throws, but you're going to sit down and think of shooting free throws. And you're going to visualize yourself making that basket. 1 hour for 30 days. And the third group did absolutely nothing. So after 30 days, what happened? Well, after 30 days, the group that shot free throws every day for 1 hour increased their free throw percentage by 24%. 24% after just 30 days. Now, what's interesting, and you can imagine, what's interesting is the group that didn't do anything didn't grow at all, right? But what's cool about this is that the group that visualized for 1 hour a day grew by 23% their free throw percentage. So the group that actually physically shot free throws for 1 hour a day for 30 days grew 24% in their accuracy and the percentage of shots made. The group that just visualized themselves grew 23%, just 1% less. So what does that tell you? Well, the lesson is that your mind cannot differentiate reality from fantasy. So therefore, if you prepare your mind ahead of the task, if you're truly disciplined, right? If you're really disciplined and you take time to visualize exactly where you want to be, every single day you visualize that 2 or 3%. Every single day you visualize your account balance increasing. Every single day you visualize yourself opening a trade and closing a trade successfully. Every single day, you visualize yourself becoming a master trader. Every single day, you visualize taking those steps of mastering what's on the graphs. Every single day. And if you do that before you trade, your percentage has a high probability of increasing, because everything is created twice. Stephen Covey talks about that. He said, everything's created twice. First in your mind and then in reality. So you don't want to go to practice. You don't want to go enter the game and never thinking of your success. You want to enter the game already successful. Put yourself in that state of mind, and you do that through visualization. The power of visualization. Tip number 2, the power of present time consciousness. I'll repeat this again. The power of present time consciousness. I can't tell you how simple, yet how profound, how powerful that simple idea has radically changed my mind. See, there's these 3 games that we play with ourselves every day. It's the game of yesterday, tomorrow, and today. I'll repeat this again. There's this game that we play with ourselves. And it is the game of yesterday, tomorrow, and today. See, most people live in yesterday, the things that they didn't do, what they didn't accomplish. And all that does is just creates animosity, resentment, anger, unworthiness, right? These emotions that aren't going to help you with your trading. Then the other group of people, they're continuously thinking about tomorrow. And what does that bring? It brings anxiety. It brings uncertainty. It brings frustration. So as long as you're living in yesterday or you're living in tomorrow, we're never going to have the power to become master traders. So what you have to do through discipline and consciousness is you have to live in this moment. This is all we have right now. Ever since we arrived in Paris, and that was ever since we arrived in Paris. So we left our home on Saturday at 3 o'clock. We arrived in Paris on Sunday at 1 o'clock. So for the last 4 or 5 days, every day, I told my wife, happy 25th anniversary. I don't want to wait for just tomorrow for it to be 25th anniversary. Tomorrow we're celebrating it, and it's going to be a spectacular celebration. My eldest son is gonna share a very, very beautiful message. Our 2 younger boys are gonna speak. My wife is gonna look unbelievably beautiful and gorgeous in her phenomenal dress gown. All our boys are gonna be in tuxedos. It is going to be as Shalimar. If you guys know who Shalimar is, give me a shout. It's gonna be as Shalimar says, it's gonna be a night to remember. But I don't want to just remember tomorrow night. I want to remember my entire relationship. See, too many people wait for that one moment, and that moment could be very, very quick. It could be very, very short. It could be very, very fleeting. Okay, good. Mr. Fisher knows who Shalimar is. Jeff, okay, I got some people that know who Shalimar is. I love it, right? A night to remember. That's what's going to happen tomorrow night. So therefore, the key to living in the moment is gratitude. Gratitude is the key that opens the door to the present time consciousness. Gratitude. As Sal said, yes, absolutely. He did give me an out, but there's no way. We're going to be here until, we're here until Tuesday. And then on Tuesday, we fly to Venice, and we're in Venice for 3 or 4 more days. So next Thursday, I'm gonna be doing this class from Venice, right? There's no way I'm going to miss this. No way at all. And it's not like I'm doing something, I'm not doing it in my family. No, we are all on board. We know how valuable this is. We know how important this is. We know how life-changing this moment is. But most importantly is I am so grateful. We, my wife, my 3 boys, myself, we are so incredibly grateful to Steve Wallach, Michelle Wallach, Dr. Wallach for creating this platform. We're so incredibly grateful to Tom and Denise for their mentorship, their guidance, for being there every single day. We're so incredibly grateful to Sal, Vanessa, Ryan, Jolene, Coach Mo. I mean, we're so grateful to these people, these individuals that God has aligned for us so we can become a little better every single day, so we can maybe become a little more impactful. So maybe we can help people. You know, we had a little situation as we arrived here to this beautiful Hilton Hotel in Sorrento. And my wife, she managed it like a pro, right? But at the end of our conversation, the manager was very, very interested in what we do. Why? Because it was a really, really delicate situation. But the way my wife managed it and the way the manager reciprocated it was phenomenal. So again, you never know how far-reaching what you may say, think, or do today will affect the lives of millions tomorrow. But how can you impact people if we're not in a state of gratitude? How can you not impact people if you're living in tomorrow or you're living in yesterday? How can you impact people if you don't wake up with the attitude of gratitude? I mean, I'm telling you right now, and Sal can attest, Coach Mo can attest, there's 191 people on this call. Listen to what I'm about to tell you, because you guys are the innovators. Within the next 2 to 3 months, there'll be about 2,000 to 3,000 people on this call. There was almost 700 people on the trading call. Within 2 to 3 months, there'll probably be about 30 to 40,000 people on those calls. Listen to me. And how can we not be grateful that you're touching so many people's lives? Yes, you're gonna make a ton of money. You're gonna be like Gustav Eiffel. You're gonna be like Elon Musk. I understand, I get that part. That's not the most important part. The most important part is that you're touching people's lives. The most important part is that you're changing generations. You're really, really removing generational curses from people's lives. People have been broke generationally. They're broke, and their dad was broke, and their grandfather was broke, and their great-grandfather was broke. And because of your passion, because of your desire, because of your control of your emotions, you're going to free them from those shackles of depression. You're going to free them from that state of mind, from that scarcity and lack state of mind. But it's going to be very, very difficult. I would say nearly impossible if you do it without gratitude. So the first one is the power of visualization. Second one is the power of gratitude. And the third one is the power of labeling and framing. I'll repeat this again. Third one is the power of labeling and framing. Just like a picture frame, right? You take a picture and you put it in a frame. The moment that you put this picture in a frame, it changes the perspective of the picture. The moment you put this picture in a frame, it just makes it look nicer. It makes it look complete. Well, that's what we do with emotions. So there's an experience that happens that creates these chemicals within our body. These chemicals rise to the surface and create feelings. And somewhere along our life, someone told you that those feelings are feelings of fear. Somewhere along our life, someone told you that those feelings are feelings of sadness, of failure. So you have framed these feelings created by these chemicals through these experiences. You have framed them. So what I'm challenging you with today is reframe your feelings. Okay, I'll repeat this again. Reframe your feelings. One person may say, I'm scared. And they go into that state of fear where everything shuts down. But someone over here may say the same experience, and that feeling, they don't interpret it as fear. They interpret it as something's coming, something special. Yeah, there's some butterflies, but we know these butterflies is the antithesis of change. It's the antithesis of something new happening. It's the same exact experience. Someone says, you know what, I want you to speak to 1,000 people. You're like, there's no way. Those same feelings of that person that says there's no way are equal to the person says, hey, sign me up. They have the same feelings. Whenever I'm walking on the stage, that 30 seconds before I walk onto the stage, whether there's 100 or 10,000 people, I get certain feelings. Now, you or some other people, they may interpret those feelings as feelings of fear. They're not fear. Those feelings, I know God is preparing me for something great at that moment. See, it's the same feelings. It's just a different labeling. It's the same feelings. It's just a different framing. The chemicals that you produce and the chemicals that I produce are the exact same chemicals, but you have framed them a little different, right? That is why you may see Sal, his account grow. That is why you may see Coach Mo and his account grow, because the minute they hit buy or sell, things, chemicals start to express themselves in you and in myself and in them too. But we haven't disciplined ourselves yet. If we assume the responsibility of framing and labeling, now we know that when those feelings arise due to the chemicals, because of the experience, at that moment we can say, no, this is not fear. This is preparation for something greatness, something great. This is not fear. This is preparation for abundance. Oh, this is how abundance feels. This is how becoming a millionaire feels. This is how becoming healthy feels, right? When you're in the gym, right? When you're in the gym and you're in those last few sets, and some people say, "Oh, it hurts. I'm gonna stop." But what does Dave Goggins say? David Goggins says, "No, that's when the workout begins." You want to make pain your friend. You want to make that feeling your friend, because that's how you're going to tear those muscle fibers and they rebuild. When they rebuild, you're going to increase the volume of that muscle. Trading is the same exact way. The minute we hit buy or sell and the body produces the chemical that produces a feeling, you don't have to call that anxiety. You don't have to call that fear. You don't have to call that uncertainty. You can frame it however you want. Maybe you can call it the step towards greatness. Maybe you can call it the step before wealth, whatever you want to call it. But you have created these names for these feelings created by these chemicals. And I'm challenging you right now to relabel them. So what are the 3 tips? The power of visualization, the power of present time consciousness, and the power of reframing and relabeling. You have that power. And when you assume power, as Lee Iacocca said, power is defined as the ability to take an intention and manifest it into reality. The minute that you take this intention of becoming a master trader, the minute you start to compartmentalize your emotions, the minute your account starts to move up, you're going to see how powerful you really are. And that's always my hope and prayer. My hope and prayer, yes, I want you to make whatever income and amass whatever wealth you want. But that's not only my hope and prayer. My hope and prayer is that you get better every single day. My hope and prayer is that you become a better person every single day. And my hope and prayer is that you share this information with all the people that you know, all the people that you love, all your friends and your family, because right now, in your home, in your circle of influence, there are people that are suffering. There are people that are struggling right now at this moment. And you may be chosen to help those people. Remember, you never know how far reaching what you may say, think, or do today will affect the lives of millions tomorrow. It is better to light one candle than to curse the darkness. Get the big idea and all else will follow. So next week we'll be on at the same time because I'll be in Venice, and then we'll return to our normal time in the evening. Okay, so guys, I love you guys very much. Congratulations to all the people that are winning, all the people that are growing. Congratulations to anyone that is trading, because even if you're not winning, you're learning. And I love you guys very much. God bless you guys. We're going to be on Facebook Live and at Instagram Live tomorrow at 7:30 this time, which will be about 1:30 East Coast time and 10:30 in the morning Pacific Standard Time. If you guys want to join us for our wedding, it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. And I wish you all the love and all the abundance and all the blessings that God has for you, because God has major plans for you guys. So love you guys very much. Sal, my brother, my hermano, I will send it back to you.
Dr. Lewis, thank you so much. Guys, if you guys can open your cameras. I know you guys can't unmute your mics right now, but if you want to open your cameras and just give Dr. Lewis a round of applause. Just as talking about being grateful and thankful to learn about the power of visualization, right? That's so powerful. Visualizing successful trades, the power of present time consciousness, right? Not being worried about the past or the future, being present, being full of gratitude. And then the last point here, we're writing it. What's the last point? The power of labeling and framing, right? 3 incredible truths and principles that you can apply right now to your trading career. A lot of you guys know who you are. Remember the flip side to this. We said, hey, if you have millions of dollars, doesn't mean you're a millionaire. Guess what? If you don't have millions of dollars, but you know who you are and you make those decisions right now, then you are a millionaire. That's something I've always known. It doesn't, people look at the results. Results are important, right? You got to back up who you are with results, but it starts inside, right? If you're a millionaire, it starts here and you start making the proper decisions. And then outwardly, those results will become evident in the way that you act and think and behave and move and the way that doors open up. The last thing I want to tell you guys is that many of you say that you don't believe in coincidences, right? That's a common idiom, even in the English language. Oh, I don't believe in coincidences. Nothing happens by chance. Well, then why are you here? What is this, right? We're here to compound your account. So is it just a coincidence that you're here then? Absolutely not, right? We don't just say that, we walk in it. You know who you are. There's some of you that I know right now, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know who you're meant to be. And you've been wanting something like this for so long to really have a breakthrough financially and a win-win opportunity. And so acknowledge that this is your time. This is your moment. We're just getting started. Show Dr. Lewis and his wife Avelia some love tomorrow on Facebook. Go there and watch their beautiful wedding ceremony out in Italy. Dr. Lewis, thank you for the time that you gave us. I know it's it's already 10:48 at night there where you're at. Safe travels. And thank you. We'll see you guys next week. God bless you guys. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, Sal. Love you, man.